Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the debate for the editorial position. Here with me, I have the candidates from Liderantia and Ignivitus. From Ignivitus, we have Ashley Lim, Jeanette Angela, Shitin Bhutia, and Danelle Yap. And from Liderantia, we have Carol Marlena Wijaya, Sandra Sadris, and Natasha Chekpa. With me, I also have my office bearers, Jingwei Taiting and Christy Wong. Just a brief, quick introduction. I am Sean Pan. I'm the returning officer of this year's annual debates, and my teammate, Deputy Returning Officer Alethea Goh, is behind the scenes, making sure the stream runs smoothly. Now, we have a few reminders for the audience just to keep comments respectful. No hate speech, please. You may also drop any questions you have for the candidates in the comment section, and there will be a time in the debate where we will ask the candidates your questions and give them a chance to clarify their manifesto based on what you asked. Now, let's move on to the agenda just so everyone is clear on how we will do things today. So we have the introduction by Election Commission, which is what I'm doing now. After we are finished with the itinerary, we will move on to the opening statements by both parties, and this is basically when they are going to talk about their manifesto and give an overall good impression. After that, they will go head to head in the cross-examination period and ask each other questions based on their manifestos. After the Q&A by candidates, we'll move on to the Q&A by office bearers, where Jingwei, Taiting, and Christy are going to ask our candidates questions based on their manifestos. After that, this will be your chance to ask them questions, and we will present the questions from the audience to the candidates based on how relevant it is. And after that, we will move on to the closing statements by candidates, and they will give you any last words they have or any summary of their points. And we will finally end with the Election Commission's closing. Without further ado, let's move on to the opening statement. Today, we will be opening with Carol, Sandra, and Natasha. Carol, Sandra, and Natasha, the floor is yours.
Good day, everyone. I'm Carol, and I'm running for the editor's role, specifically as the admin. I'm currently in my second semester at Monash, and prior to this, I had experience being the primary handler of organization, social media accounts, and I have covered various events before. I believe those experiences equip me with leadership qualities and management skills. In addition, I'm also minoring in PR and taking communications as a major, and I'm confident that I can put the theory I learned into practice as this knowledge is essential for the editor's role. Monga's tagline is by student for students. Therefore, I believe that as I had previously been Monga's targeted audience, I'm able to distinguish what the community could improve on and provide satisfactory results.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Natasha Maya, and I'll be contesting for the role of manga editor, specifically under the Writers Department. Being a writer subcom for the past 2 semesters has equipped me with the understanding about manga's inner workings and has inspired me to take charge and bring manga to its fullest potential. My previous experience as an assistant head writer and organizational officer for Sunway Eco Media, an editorial student leadership body that is similar to Manga in Sunway, has provided me with the knowledge of how to manage a team and foster close knit relationships. Additionally, my current job scope as a casual staff in Monash includes recognizing the academic and extracurricular nuances specific to each school. Lastly, I am the Year 2 student rep for School of Arts and Social Sciences, which allows me to gain insight on what students want and what their concerns are. All in all, I believe that these experiences combined have provided me with the leadership skills needed to lead a team, as well as sealing my passion for serving students and ensuring that their voices are all well represented.
Good evening, everyone. I am Sandra Shani Sadris. I'm currently in my second semester at Monash, and I am contesting for the role of editor in the media department. I was not a subcommittee member for Monga prior to this, but I believe that my experience with my diploma in communication, my internship with a multinational advertising company, and my previous working experience has equipped me for this role. Back in my diploma, I took a class on photography and video production. These 2 classes taught me the basics of both photography and videography. Then during my internship, I led an advertising campaign, which allowed me to work with photographers, videographers, designers, writers, and the editing team, which not only enhanced my leadership skills, but it also allowed me to foster better collaboration skills. Lastly, with the working experience that I had, I gained a better sense of communicating in a professional and non-professional environment. Now I'll pass it on to Carol to talk a bit about our manifesto.
So what we noticed that could be improved as editors would be the relationship between Monga and the students. Hence, we propose to enhance the social media presence of the community by publishing faster news coverage, being more open towards the students' thoughts by making feedback platforms more accessible to them, providing content that is more casual, such as having social media takeover sessions, and even open new platforms such as TikTok in order to increase engagement. Monga's reputation and presence can be improved by embracing the idea of inclusivity, as it is a community meant to capture the highlights of the Monash University students' life. In addition, we also wish to provide more tangible value towards the students by hosting workshops and inviting professional journalists, writers, photographers, designers, and many more. This to ensure that the students have a platform to equip themselves with practical skills that they might not have the opportunity to learn before in class. Other than that, we also have an objective which is to effectively distribute both the physical and digital copies of the Monash Gazette, as it is the main purpose of Monga.
Monga is nothing without its students. Therefore, if we were elected as editors, we would strive to promote inclusivity by making it easier for students to contribute to Monga. This will be done by decreasing the external submissions word count to 100 words or less, and then combining all these opinion pieces into one article so that every student in Monash has a chance to write for Monga too, thus allowing their voices to be heard and represented.
Now, we as editors aim to build a strong community between departments. We encourage collaboration within the department and interdepartmentally, and we would like to make sure that there will be engagement and opportunities to work closely together. We want the members of Monga to be aware of the happenings interdepartmentally, and we believe that this will create a better space for communication and collaboration amongst members. This will allow members to feel more comfortable with the person or people that they will have to work with in the future. That will be it for our opening statement. Thank you.
Alethea. Thank you, guys, for your wonderful and concise opening statement. Now it is time to pass it over to Ignavita's candidates, Ashley, Danelle, Jeanette, and Shetin, for your opening statement. Blow us away, guys.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jen Angela Hartono, and I'll be running as Monga's head of design. My background in the graphic design field has prepared me to make a huge contribution to Monga's graphic design team. As a freelance graphic designer, I was engaged in all stages of the process, from brainstorming design ideas to executing them, as well as communicating with clients. In addition, I've had experience working in a team setting, such as creating materials for school club events when I was a member of the graphic design club during high school. Due to my competence and high quality design outputs, I was also offered the position of club president. In addition, I also have the Adobe application skills necessary to both compile the magazine and direct the design team effectively. Due to all of this, I'm confident in my ability to lead the team and offer creative direction and cooperation to Monga next year. Regarding our first manifesto, if we were elected, we will hold our first ever flagship event. As Monash is transitioning to a fully offline campus, our goal is to establish a physical presence in Monash. A collection of students' creative works will be curated and displayed at this event. Students will be able to promote their own unique creative voices. This event will connect students with each other, showing them that all individuals have their own diverse artistic expressions and ideas, while simultaneously demonstrating the universal nature of art. Thank you, and I'll pass this to Shi.
Thank you, Jeanette. Hello, everyone. I'm Sutan Bhutia, and I'll be rerunning as the head of media. As the media subcom and the current head of media, I've experienced firsthand at the rate which contemporary trends change. Therefore, I believe that I'm well equipped to adapt with such challenges next year. I would also like to take it a step further and include even more student-centric projects and collaborations in the year 2023. The introduction of creative corners such as Monash Fit Check, Chat with Monga, and Read a Secret, Read a Secret have allowed us to spotlight the Monash student community and strengthen the bond that we have formed with our audience. Furthermore, the world of content creation is multidimensional. Therefore, we plan to branch out to another popular social media platform next year, which is TikTok, to ramp up Monga's social media awareness and recognition. We plan to execute new initiatives that will focus on the student body, following current trends, and feature students throughout our term in Monga, serving as a platform for the students to express themselves that reflects the significant events at that time. As for the writing portion, we plan to integrate more writing prompts into the thematic months, which will help us to narrow down the focus for writing submissions based projects. Some examples of the new initiatives that we plan to conduct are 73 questions with students, lecturers, Monga Spotlight, this or that, Munch video, which will be on TikTok, and lastly, Monga weekly check-in throughout the semester. Thank you, everyone. I'll pass it on to Ashley now.
Thank you, Chi. Good evening to my fellow teammates Jeanette, Danelle, and Chi, the current Monga office bearers, and our proxy Christy, as well as our audience. My name is Ashley, and I'll be rerunning for the role of head writer in Monga's editorial team. As the current office bearer, I've been able to successfully lead the writing department within Monga, whilst also adjusting to post-pandemic event coverage requests and the creative aspects of this role. Moving on to the third aspect of our manifesto, we would like to reiterate Monga's motto, which is that we are for the students, by the students. Therefore, if my team and I were to be elected as the 2023 editorial board, we plan to uphold Monga's most integral value, which is to continue acting as a bridge between MUSA and the student body, fulfilling our responsibilities in both a creative and fair capacity. By emphasizing on transparency and neutrality, we will be able to uphold our stance on journalistic integrity and our vow to the student body, which is to report all of the comings and goings in MUSA, allowing Monashians to hold them accountable for their actions. Now I'll be passing the stage to Danelle.
Thank you, Ashley. Good evening to everyone present today. My name is Danelle, and I'm currently running for the position of admin in Monga. I would like to think of myself as a suitable candidate for the admin position, given my one-year subcom position, which was only newly founded this year. During my one-year experience working as a subcom, I've learned the ins and outs of Monga's administrative work, from event proposals to website management to Instagram captions and much more. Furthermore, I'm well equipped to be the main communicator between Monga and any other parties such as MUSA, Monash clubs and societies, and finally, and most importantly, the students. As a firm believer in communication, I will act as Monga's mediator and backbone, making sure that my fellow editors stay on track in their duties and responsibilities whilst producing the quality of work that Monga always has. For our final manifesto point, which is building on existing engagement, we aim to maintain the positive trajectory that Instagram engagement for the year of 2022 has achieved through introducing interactive content such as Reels or TikTok videos, which will allow Monga to further interact with the student body to produce content, emphasizing on Monga as a bridge. The reason we have chosen TikTok as a medium is due to the ease in which virality can be achieved on TikTok. By leveraging on its affordances such as trending sounds and hopping onto viral challenges, we'll be able to modernize Monga even further. TikTok will also serve as an inspiration for our future internal projects. As such, we hope to also include a blend of old and new collaborations or projects that will continue to make Monga strive as the Monash Gazette. Thank you.
Thank you, Chi, Ashley, Danelle, and Jeanette for your wonderful opening statement. This was Ignavitas, guys, on their opening statement of why they should be elected to be your editors. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the cross-examination period between candidates, where Lidorantia and Ignavitas are going to question each other based on their manifestos.
If you guys don't mind, I'll start first. So if you don't mind, as per mentioned in the final point in your manifesto, in terms of inviting professional onto campus for your workshops, how would you as the admin be able to handle the multiple stages of bureaucracy, which include OSH, SARA, and FM?
Okay, so we are planning to enlarge the team by having more subcoms, and so that we are able to delegate the task better, and therefore we will be able to communicate better and have better teamwork, and also as previously mentioned, we are aiming to have a closer knit relationship between the communities of all departments, right? So by doing that, we are able to communicate better, and then we are going to plan ahead. So therefore, that we are able to have the event run smoothly. Hope that answers your questions.
Hi, following up on that, are you aware that MUSA actually does have a budget for subcom, and that enlarging the subcom team would actually be slightly impractical, given that the budget that we have this year already is bright enough to fulfill our quota, yeah.
Okay,
So how would you proceed with that?
Okay, so regarding the budget proposal, I've recently heard that the budget allocation is slightly different each year, and we hope to be able to plan wisely because we are going to enlarge the team, right? So we are going to plan ahead and schedule to see whether or not which events we are going to prioritize in order for us to have enough budget for each of the events that we are going to plan.
Okay, sorry. Just one more question to follow up that. In regards to the budget, I'm wondering if you guys are aware that most of Manga's budget annually is actually dedicated to our magazine output, the yearly magazine output, thus in the end of second semester, which will be distributed in the following year. So how would you guys manage to achieve such workshops, as you mentioned that you would invite professionals from ranging from graphic designers to writers and so on and so forth? Would you sacrifice the quality or even the quantity of manga's magazines as such?
Oh, we will not sacrifice the quality or the quantity of the Monash Gazette at all. If there are if let's say for example that there might be a problem with the budget allocation for for the manga itself, then if that happens, then we will also try to reach out to find sponsorships in order for those events to be run smoothly. Other than that, we are confident that we are able to allocate the budget to and be able to still also produce the quality Monash Gazette as the previous years before the pandemic. The community itself, they have been able to carefully produce and still manage to have this sort of initiatives run successfully.
So, if it's okay, I shall continue with the questions. So this question will be directed to Ashley, the current head writer. So as you know, I am your subcom. However, for the 2 whole semesters, I've only officially met you physically twice because you have been very busy. So, and next year, you're going to be an honor student and you'll be even busier. So, as a leader, how can you be the glue that keeps subcoms together since the subcoms rarely see you now? Thank you.
Hi, Natasha. Thanks for that question. Just to clarify, I'm not an honors student. I'm actually taking a double degree, hence it's actually 4 years. So this is my 3rd year, therefore next year I will have the same amount of workload. And to clarify that, yes, I chose not to meet you guys physically during the first semester, namely because we were transitioning to a physical campus, and due to SOP regulations by the Ministry of Health, as well as Monash itself, I felt that it would be safer for all of us, as well as the people around us, to have it through Zoom meetings. And yes, we've only physically met twice, unfortunately. But I do believe that we actually do have initiatives to gather the whole manga team together later this year in order to increase cohesiveness within the team. So honestly, yeah, I was doing it in light of any SOPs that were in place at that time. Thank you.
Can I go next? So looking at Monga's official Instagram page, it is clear to see that Monga's initiatives such as Happy Together, Midnight Memories have less engagement compared to event coverages. For example, event coverages has about 250 to 650 likes, but your initiatives consistently have less than 100 likes, sometimes even just 60 likes. So moving forward, how do you as a team plan to get people interested in your initiatives? This is a general question.
Sorry, Aros, could we give a minute to discuss this?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. I'm sure you guys are aware that Monga pre-pandemic was highly focused on events and event coverage. But during the pandemic, of course, we did not have any events to cover. So we had to rely on a lot of student-centered projects and collaborations. As for the engagement, of course, like we have seen changes. How do I say? So as for the engagement wise, of course, the event coverage is gonna get a lot more recognition because technically we are covering the event for them. However, we do have to note that we do still need to continue a lot of collaborations. So if we just solely focus on events, do you think that Monga should just ignore all the collaborations, because at the end of the day, all these initiatives that we have are collaborations with the student bodies. Say, for instance, the Snapchat Challenge, it's a collaboration with the Monash Photographic Society. So yes, we do see that these are not so liked by, like, not, it does not get a lot of engagement in terms of likes, but we do see that there's a lot of people who do participate in this kind of challenges. Yes, because considering that last semester we did receive a lot of people who submitted photos and all for these events. So yeah.
Following up on that, I'd just like to add on that yes, event coverage is obviously a more popular corner due to the fact that a lot of the student body are interested in it. But that does not mean we will deny or, let's say, ostracize the creative aspects, because although it may be a small level of engagement, which we actually plan to improve further by narrowing down our prompts as well as collabing with more departments, we believe that although it's a small piece of engagement, it still represents the passion of the students, and that is what our platform is here for.
Thank you.
Sorry, if you don't mind, may I follow up on that? So in your manifesto, you mentioned that you wanted to have a flagship event, right, to showcase creative works by the student. But you yourself acknowledge that students don't really participate in the external contributions because, like, for example, as a subcom, I myself can see that there's very little external contributions. Most of them are from our own writers team. And so how will you ensure that you can accurately represent the creative works of the whole student body instead of just relying on your subcom's content? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the question, Natasha. Okay, let me briefly explain about our flagship event. So flagship event is different compared to all the collaborations we have done so far. It's like the first time that Monga is doing a flagship event. So basically what we're going to do for the flagship event is that we are planning to collect a lot of creative content, ranging from writing to media to maybe the artwork, everything throughout one semester. So it's going to be open to everyone. It could either be the submission for the thematic months or it could be just general submission. So after we compile everything in semester 1, we are going to display it in semester 2. So flagship events really differ from the collaborations. And also, like, of course, we do see that sometimes, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, we do see that sometimes that maybe a lot of our subcoms would contribute more during the time when there's not a lot of student interaction. But we still do believe that when, like, times are busy, maybe during the end of semester, this is the time when our subcoms can also initiate so that there's a lot more content that we can provide for the student body. Thank you. Okay, so my next question is for all three of you guys. So you mentioned in the election guide and in your speech right now that you'd like to publish event coverage at much faster rate to maintain the relevancy amongst the student body. However, please do keep in mind that one media subcom will take at least 80 to or maybe more than 100 pictures for every event. And seeing that you'd like to send 2 to 3 writers for a single event, like, don't you think so in terms of liaising with each other as well as the head of admin, this would not only slow the process, but also compromise the quality of writing and photography if it were to done in a rush?
Okay, thank you so much for that question, Chi. So, as you've seen from our election guide, our proposal was to have a event coverage template. So, because me and Sandra, we have experience taking journalism before in our diploma, and we've learned how to use templates and work together as a team in order to draft out a journalistic article piece in a very short amount of time. And we wish to also transfer these skills to our subcoms in the future. Additionally, the current system only has like one writer to cover an entire event. For example, Diversity and Inclusivity Week was a whole week, but only one writer, which is very it's not fair for that writer to have to work alone. So in our side, we encourage collaboration, which we think, for example, there'll be two writers for diversity and inclusivity week. So the first writer can write day 1 and day 2, and the second writer can write day 3 and day 4, and they can do it at the same time. And then so they do like 300 words, the other person do 300 words, combine it together. It's much faster compared to just one person doing all 600 words. And also it will ease the workload of our subcoms. I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much.
Hi, could I just follow on that? Yeah, Natasha, I would really like to clarify the fact that yes, I do send one writer to per event, but please note that, and my other subcom team can actually corroborate with this. Yeah, I request that you go to the event during peak hours and spend less than 1 hour there. For example, 15 to 30 minutes to gather the general feel of the event. So I do not request that you stay for the entire event because I understand that classes as well as other commitments are also very important to you guys. Because writing, as long as you get the general feel of the event, I understand that you can actually attend the entire week because I also, when it comes to events on campus, I do try to assign writers that do live on campus as it is nearer as well. So I just like to clarify that, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I would also say like that could jeopardize the quality and integrity of reporting, because like what if that writer is only there at one specific hour? Like let's say Monash Cup, if they were covering the dancing and the cheerleading, if they were only there for 15 minutes, would that they'll only see like one house and not the whole thing? That's what I meant. Okay, sorry. Thank you. That is all.
Thank you guys for a wonderful and event cross-examination period. I think I can speak for everyone when I say that this was very infomercial. Definitely helped everyone in the audience understand your manifestos better. Now, let's move on to the question and answer period for the office bearers. Here with me, I'm going to call Jingwei, Tai Ting, and Christy to the stage where they are going to ask you guys questions based on your manifestos.
Hi everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Christy. Welcome back.
Hi.
Nice to see you again, yeah.
I mean, same faces, just different. Actually, same screen
Yeah.
lah.
Same
Same
screen.
faces,
Same
different
screen, same
faces.
screen.
Okay lah. So maybe I can. If you guys don't really know, I'm actually the editor for 2021, and I'm also a writer subcom back in 2020. So I've been MUSA for almost like two or 3 years. So I've got some questions, and I'll just start off with general questions to all the parties here. So just hang on to it while I look into it. So my first question would be to Leader Ranka, right? So I can see that you guys have only 3 people in your team. Is that right? Okay. So actually, the person missing is head of design. Am I correct again?
Yes.
Head of design is a very technical role that requires very specific set of skills, because you deal with Adobe, you deal with Photoshop. So can you tell me, without a head of design, of all things in the world, right, how do you plan to cope with a large gap between the roles? Because I don't think design is something that anybody can just step up on unless you use Canva.
Yeah. So what we heard, we already had this question. So what we heard is that we can hire a proxy for us once if we do end up winning. So in the case that we hire a proxy, we definitely will have to look through their qualifications and how well versed they are with all the apps that are needed for them to properly design and probably be the proxy for a while.
And also, I would like to add on, because we do care about how manga is presented designing wise, we have also reached out to previous head of design, for example, Angie, which I understand was from your batch. And she has also offered to help us with any questions that we have previously. And also for the time being, because it will take a while for us to find a proxy, I believe that Sandra and I also have a decent amount of designing skills that we learned from our diploma. practical skills. And because of this is also why we push for the workshops, because currently in Monash, we don't really learn how to design, how to do Adobe, Illustrator, etc. And we believe that this type of skill should be available to the students. And also one more thing, because I am a Monash staff, so I'm pushing like how to help students learn practical skills, and one of them is designing. And so one way we can learn and educate ourselves to learn how to design is through LinkedIn Learning. So LinkedIn Learning has professionals themselves to teach students for free. It's free access for all students. So yeah, there's no excuse for us to be lacking in that area. Thank you for your question.
Right, just to follow up on that, so you plan to have workshops to improve the skill sets of students, and you mentioned LinkedIn Learning. So you are aware that this is Monga, right? Like the Monash Gazette. So what we do is basically journalism. We design the things. To be very frank, we're not MUSA activities to plan events for the students. We are for the students. We serve the students by giving them by opening submissions and letting them have their own raw talents. So just to make it clear to you lah, so we're not ones to host physical events. We are, I don't know, like, think about it. Do you see the Star or like Berita Harian hosting events for Adobe? I don't know lah. Maybe the Star does have a journalism program, but not. I wouldn't say they host workshops. So the next question would be to the other party, Ignivitus, right? So I can see that we have two rerunning head of departments. So do you think there will be a power imbalance where the two of you are past OBs? So technically you already have a vision of what you want Monga to be versus the other two new OBs that have a fresh pair of eyes. So how would you tackle that? Because the skill level is obviously very different. Even though you guys are subcoms and you were head of departments, now you're just here. So how would you tackle that?
Thank you for the question. So, although we do hold a shared position, we differ slightly from the other functioning bodies, as we are still our own head of our own departments. And because of this, there will be no power gap in terms of creativity and ideas. And moreover, two of our members who are running officers will help guide us during the shadowing period, which will be after the election ends. And this will be more effective and easier for us because we will not be starting from scratch.
All right. That does do the others have anything to add on? Okay. Then I will just head right into the questions targeting for the potential hit writers. I'm not sure if I mention it. I was also the hit writer and I was also the writer subcom. So, all right. So for the both of you, actually, so tell me, what is your take on integrity in journalism? Because I hear a lot of big words just now talking about integrity. So tell me about it. What do you think about integrity in journalism? Natasha, maybe?
Oh, shall I start first? Okay. So I have learned about ethics in journalism back in my diploma days, and it was taught by our lecturer who used to be a journalist herself. And she has very much inspired me in reporting news to the best of our abilities. And she does acknowledge that sometimes we can be biased. It is natural, it is human instinct. However, she taught us that our person she taught us to be aware of our own personal biases, because it can influence the way we write and the way we phrase certain things. So with this lesson taught to me in my diploma days, to be aware of how we phrase certain things, our internal bias, I believe that that can help me uphold my journalistic integrity. And also, being a psychology student, majoring in psychology, it has also taught me a lot about biases and how to reduce biases. And I hope that I can apply what I learned into my work. Thank you.
So what you're telling me is you learn integrity through studying?
Yes, and I also hope to apply it. But previously, I've also been in Sunway Eco Media, and we also do event coverages. So I'm quite used to reporting about events in a very straightforward, non-biased way. But I'm very much also open to always continue to learn and improve myself in that sense.
All right,
Thank
then
you.
are you aware of Monga's neutral stand
Oh yes,
about
very
how we
much
have
so.
no voting rights? So if any party involved, maybe like your friends is part of the OBs and they offer you voting rights, what would you say?
Oh, that is a really good question. However, um, I believe that as a neutral party, this also I would like to thank Ashley for teaching me the importance of um, being an independent body, because as we all know, Ashley is very passionate about this, and as her subcom I have also learned to be passionate about this, and I wouldn't accept the voting right, because by having the voting rights it could sway my opinions when I report about the MSC, about what happened, or any um, any issues within MUSA itself. And if I have voting rights and it was given to me by the party, then they have that against me and they can take it back, and like, yeah, like the power dynamic would be tilted. So I would like to keep it maintained and fair. Thank you.
All right, so what you're saying on live is that you will report honestly, lah, right?
Yes.
Oh, I think Christy has some network issues. I think I will continue by asking questions for wait for admin. Okay, yeah. So I will direct the question to.
Jingling, sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Because Christy
Ashley.
asked me the question. Christy asked me the question also.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Oh no, Christy left. It's fine. It's fine. Sean, do we wait for her to come back or?
I think you can answer the question first. It's okay.
Okay. So Monga, as my predecessor has taught me, and as I'm currently experiencing, has always been a neutral body, which is part of why I joined in the first place, because I feel like independence, journalistic integrity is something that is incredibly important, especially in holding higher ups accountable. Which is why I was very pleased when I saw the constitution that technically, under the head writer's purview, all MSC reporting has to be unbiased, and which is also restated in our manifesto with with Monga acting as a bridge. However, in the case that there is discrepancy within the MSC report, I will defer to the rest of my other editors in order to gain new perspective from them. And worst come to worst, we will go through the entire MSC report or the MSC live stream, which is on YouTube. Go through it again in order to ensure that it's totally transparent. So yes.
All right, sorry for that disconnection, but okay, thanks for your answer. Maybe Jingwei Chaiting.
Okay. Okay. So, like I said, I will direct a question to Carol first. So, I was going to ask you like questions about like the workshop thing and all, but I think like Christy mentioned just now, just to clarify, like Monga is like an independent entity that is supposed to like cover events instead of like hosting events. So as ambitious as the idea might sound, our budgets should still be prioritized on publishing magazines. So I won't be asking any more questions on that because of the time limit. And so I will proceed to the next question. Since you will be the person in charge of planning social media content and filtering event coverage requests, what kind of organizational tools or system will you use to ensure better work coordination?
Okay, so just to clarify a bit on the workshop point, is like it is not a event that is wholly Monga that is going to host. It is going to be a collaboration event with CNS or even Monash career peers. So yeah, just to clarify a bit on that. So about the organizational system, we plan to stick with the current one, but however, we would like to improve the communication by having like monthly meetings, and also we plan to have a mingle nights in order for the community to like feel closer to each other, and therefore by actually knowing each other, we believe that it is going to increase the work ethics as well, and it's going to foster a better teamwork, and it is going to be more we are going to work more effectively in that sense. So yeah.
Sorry, I think you misunderstood my question. I wasn't asking for like how to like improve like the communication between like interdepartmental communication. I was asking like you yourself, like what kind of like organizational tools you will use to keep yourself organized, because you are the one that will be in charge of filtering all the event coverage requests and also like help to manage your team's workload. Not like you get what I mean?
Okay. So, you mean like, for example, like I take notes and stuff, right? Like to keep myself organized, like to schedule myself. Okay. So, currently, what I'm most familiar with, I'm using the platform that I'm using is like Notion and Google Calendar, and so I always keep my reminders on in order to remind myself, oh, there's a deadline on today's date, and so I can plan ahead and see how can um, manage how I can time manage myself in order to give satisfactory results in that sense. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good answer. Okay, so the next question will be directed to Danelle. You have mentioned that you would like to address like mental health topics on our social media platform. And may I know like what kind of initiatives you have planned to like achieve this?
Sorry, can we just discuss for 1 minute with the whole team? If that's all right with Aro?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so the answer that I have for this, just to get your question correct, you're asking me about how we will implement mental health into Monga's social media system, right? Okay, yeah. So we plan to introduce more weekly check-ins or monthly check-ins in the form of like either like collaboration with our head of design, which is in the form of either bingo or like just like things that we can post on social media stories or postings to check up on students during maybe like peak season for assignments or even examination or even mid-sem break. Or we could even like introduce something during like the long semester break or like prepping them to come back to Monash, that kind of thing. Yeah. That's
Okay, thank you. Okay, so like I have another question for you. Since you are my current subcom, and you have mentioned multiple times this year that you might be lacking like certain creativity to create social media content for manga. May I know how you might plan to address this issue?
okay, yeah. Sorry, wait, give me a second. Okay. All right. Thank you for the question, Jingwei. So to answer this question, I have mentioned that I do struggle in terms of like producing like creative outputs on my own. However, manga is a shared position between a graphic designer, a media head, and even like a writer head. So I do think like we can utilize this as manga is a shared position. We can come out with content together. As anyways, like any content that comes from thematic month or media team always is filtered through admin first. So I see no issue in collaboration with either like my filtering as well through my other heads. So I think a lot of inspiration would come from them, especially.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Also, okay, I have one more question that is directed to like both candidates. So, how will you handle the potential criticism from the student body since manga is a highly publicized department?
Okay, so because Monga it is a platform for students by students, right? As mentioned previously in our manifesto, we are planning to have a feedback platform that is more accessible towards the students themselves. So by doing that, we are going to we're going to critically assess what are the students' thoughts, and therefore we believe that those criticism is just going to help us improve even better. So we also plan to have a monthly meeting for the whole community in order for us to discuss and we are also going to take into consideration of those criticism that the students have given to us in those meetings as well. So yeah.
Okay, so for my answer on how manga will handle criticism, especially from publicity side, although manga is an independent branch of MUSA, we do understand that on our word, actions, and even reputation on all our platforms, we do hold a considerable weight, especially on Instagram right now. So therefore, in the interest of not jeopardizing our like image or reputation on manga of OBs and even just manga on its own, we try to refrain from responding to constructive like criticism or like personal attacks on social media. However, we will take into account criticism that still counts as feedback from student community that will help us to do better and become a better like community or like a working unit for the student body as we are for the students by the students.
Okay, thank you. I will let Chaiting ask the design candidate questions first, and then we will proceed to ask the media candidates questions later. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question directed to Natasha and Sandra. Like you mentioned that you have some basic designing skills, and like let's say if you cannot get a proxy in time, like by April or by May, and by then it's like you guys would have to be in the preparation of the digital magazine. So what is your strategy from there? Because I don't think that basic designing skills is enough because it takes a whole team to design the digital magazine and you both would have your own departments to run as well, right? So what is your strategy for them? Because it's actually like quite hard to find a proxy. Yeah. Thank you.
May we have a few seconds to discuss? Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll take this first. So we as a team, the reason we're a team is so that we will work together to publish this magazine. So in the case that the proxy is not hired by then we three we will come together. We will have to plan ahead, and on top of that, we do have the design subcoms. So we will make the subcoms, all the subcoms work together, and then specifically assign the design subcoms to be able to work as a team properly to curate and create the design for our magazine in the case that the proxy is not already hired. I hope that answers your question.
Like just to follow up on that, who will be the one that decides the visual direction? Because your subcoms, the design subcoms would need a leader to tell them. Like who is it? Yeah. Like, who do you think?
So, yeah. So basically, the design subcoms, they themselves have the qualifications to design. So we believe that with our meetings that we will hold during when we serve, I think that they can have a discussion and they can come to us, and we can also help them decide how the direction will go. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have one question directed to Jeanette. You have mentioned that you will conduct surveys and social media polls to get a general sense of what kind of design theme that the public might want to see. However, like, may I know, like, once that is done, how do you plan to ensure that the designs that you and your designers kind of like decide on for the whole semester, like, how do you plan to make it consistent throughout the semester? Like, is there any strategy for that?
Can you give me like 1 minute to discuss with the others? So thank you for the question. First of all, like as Monga has like two big teams, we'll like experiment like some teams like between December to February, because like as per February, like Monga needs to like come up with a theme, and we'll discuss it like for us, and by that like by experimenting and creating like some options, like we'll know like which of the designs that Monash students will appreciate more.
Yeah, that's all for me from now.
Thank you guys for that wonderful question and answer session. That we were actually over time, but I do have to say that those questions were very, very well thought out and very infomercial in the end. So I think we can move on to our question and answer session from the audience. We can start with Alethea. Just pick whichever question you deem fit. Okay, so this one is from Jamal Ahmad. He asked for Ignovitus. Student engagement is a major issue for all departments under MUSA as well as students' participation. How will you and how will you ensure the increased engagement? Uh, what are the steps and be specific?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you for your question, Jamal Ahmad. Okay, so for the steps we can take to maintain a positive trajectory, as mentioned in my opening statement as well, we hope to introduce themes like TikTok and as well as Instagram Reels that introduce more interactive content to engage more with our student body as well. And although we understand that Manga for 2022 has maintained high social media engagement with the incorporation of running themes such as random shits, humans of Monash, and even Monash Fit Chat, we can incorporate it into videos as part of Manga's content on social media for 2023, creating even more interactive content. Furthermore, Manga could also receive more recognition from students by doing an Instagram takeover, as we have not done this before. Additionally, through introducing themes that are relatable and also more relevant to our Monash community and students, that Monash students may be more prone to face, I would say. There will be more social media engagement on Monga as well, such as the question mentioned by Jingwei just now on our check-ins on the mental health as well, such as the Monash Bingo for mental health as well. Yeah.
Thank you for your answer, Danelle. Let's move on to the next question. This one is from Li Jiajing and directed to all parties. Monash Cup is an annual event that concerns most athletes of Monash. I'm sure many students here want more publicity on this event. May I know the editor's plans on this next year?
Okay, thank you for the question. I'm gonna answer that for you. As everyone is aware, that Monga 2019, like pre-pandemic, mostly focused on events, and during pandemic, we did focus to internal projects and collaborations with which I was a part as well. But Monga post-pandemic that we experienced this year, how we transitioned from being like from the COVID to like now with that it's all physical. We need to ensure that Monga is not being biased while covering events. As of course, Monash Cup is a month long or actually even more longer event, and it's unfair if the media and the writing team had to just maybe like prioritize Monash Cup and exclude other events that were happening simultaneously. So like we did this year, we're definitely gonna liaise with CNS, and we're gonna ensure that we divide tasks equally. And from Monga side, we'll try our best to support and cover Monash Cup. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ignivitas. What about your take, Leader Asia?
Thank you for the question. So we believe that we are planning currently to have, if we serve, we are gonna have our meetings where we're gonna discuss plans ahead, whatever events that are coming up. So I believe Monash Cup is something that will be proposed quite early on, and if it were to be, if we are requested to cover the Monash Cup, which we will be requested, we will have the opportunity to plan ahead, assign tasks equally, and be able to maximize our take on the Monash Cup so that there are no biases involved, everyone is involved, all the houses are covered in our spread.
Also, I would like to add on, this is where the event coverage template can be maximized. So the current system, the subcoms, there is no communication between subcoms. Like as a writer, I do not know who are the photographers. However, by having the event template and our mingle nights and our general meeting, bi-monthly general meeting, the subcoms will be able to mingle together and know each other, and they can help each other when covering the event. So for most of the events, the photographer would be present, but the writer wouldn't be present. And by having this event template, so let's say the template is, when did this happen, what happened, what's the most interesting that happened in this event, the photographer can just type it out because it's like a simple task, right? You can type out what, and then the writers can like review it, and then that's how they maximize the template and make sure they are able to cover all or at least a majority of the events that happen on campus. Hope this answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader Asia. Once again, thank you guys
Can I
for
add
answering the
one?
question. Oh, sorry, did you have more to say?
Little bit.
Yes, of course.
Okay, just adding on to Chi's point, for context, Monash Cup this year, great job by the way, CNS. We've actually come to an agreement with CNS in accordance to our event coverage. For example, due to the fact that we do have a limited number of subcom, we decided that we would only cover in terms of finals, right? We only cover the final matches because we believe that those are the most important in order to distribute manpower equally. And I believe I talked to the publicity as well as the head of CNS and agreed with them that basing off my predecessor's work, we would grant them 4 interviews with the house captains, as well as a general article, which was written by myself for CNS, because obviously it's a post-pandemic Monash Cup and everyone's excited for it. So I believe that moving forward, that would be a good basis to determine how we would liaise with CNS in the future, because given that it is almost a month-long event, compromise would probably be the most effective way to move forward.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any words to add? Good, then we can move on to the next question as well. Okay, so Reina asks, even if they made 50 plus events and 10 plus thematic projects for students, it is the students who need to reciprocate. If there's not enough participation, what more can they do anyway? I
Can I take
I'm not
first? Is this a
I'm not
general
sure if that
question?
was a question. Uh, Alita, do you have another question to spotlight? Okay. So to all candidates, from Dominic Lee, our current president, as MUSA is a large body, planning can be done in advance, but event coverage will be requested last minute. There will always be a time when resources are limited and there will not be enough manpower to cover all events. What will your reaction be towards those who request last minute event coverage? And would your response change if the last minute request was for a higher priority event?
Okay, so I'm assuming this question is for both parties. So our party will start first. As we've previously proposed, we have an event coverage template. So to elaborate further on this template is not only limited to the subcoms within Monga, but this template can be available to the rest of the student body because we are the voice of the students and we want to include the students in as many things as we do. So this template um, that can be filled out by attendees of the events. So they can also write, oh, what happened, what they found interesting. And additionally, our writers can directly interview with the president or the organizers of that event so that um, even though we have limited manpower, we have an excess of information that we can compile together. And if anyone would like.
Yes. So what we understand from our talk with the previous OBs is that even in the case that this ends up being an issue, um, we're allowed to deny requests that we are unable to do in the case of limited manpower. So I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Let's move on to the next question as well. Uh, okay, so this one is for Leader Ansia from Teresa Lee. For Leader Ansia, could you expand more on your internal communication flow and workflow because there is a gap in experience in comparison to ignivators as they have rerunning officers?
Okay, so we are aware that the candidates from the other party are rerunning officers, so therefore they might be more familiar with the system, right? But however, we believe that as only Natasha was previously a subcom in Monga, me and Sandra was not. We believe that as we are previously the targeted audience of Monga, we know what can be fixed, what could be improved because we were the targeted audience. We know that what the audience want. So therefore. So therefore we believe that we are also able to maintain the equal balance in within the working system environment, and also we have planned monthly meetings, right? So that is for us to catch up on what other departments are doing. So in order to increase the communication flow to ensure that the working progress is going smoothly. So I hope that answers the question.
Also, I would also like to add on since the previous editors also mentioned how they were from the pandemic era. So they were doing like online coverage and etc. So once they move into physical, they did have to relearn some things. So in that sense, they are also learning new experiences. And as a team, we are also learning new experiences as well. And we believe that is what Monash is about because that's our motto. Still, I am learning. So yes, I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol and Natasha. I also do have to apologize. I don't think I gave Ignivitus a chance to answer Dominic's question before. So basically, Dominic has asked, again, since MUSA has a large body, there will always be time when resources are limited and there's not enough manpower. What's your approach to last-minute requests?
Hi, thanks Dom for the question. As per my experience during my tenure as head writer, yes, there are unexpected events, and yes, there will be some that are more high priority than others. However, thank God for our event coverage form, wherein clubs and societies, as well as actually MUSA departments, will be able to send in their requests for event coverage, and they also include their press releases to tell us the information as well as when, where, how it will be happening. If there's any important guests that will be attending the event, so that will be filtered by our head of admin. However, in terms of last minute requests, we understand that of course some things do happen this way because of administration and bureaucracy. We would have to look at the scale of the event, the relevancy of the event to the student body, as well as, for example, if it was an event held by Student Life, of course, we would want to take part in it because it's a very huge event. And then we would also, of course, filter accordingly with our own set of priorities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Let's move on to the next question also. Okay, so from Chi Min Hao and to Carol and the team. You do know that work can't wait for training to be done. How will your team fill the void when where there will be a lack of manpower for Monga when events start rolling around?
Okay, so I think we've answered a similar questions to this previously. Regarding the lack of manpower, we are already to think of a solution for that issue, which is the template that we're going to have on if we were to be elected, and also the monthly meetings, which is to catch up on each other's progress. And also, we are planning to enlarge the department in order for us to delegate the task better. And it is to ensure that we are able to work effectively and also have better progress. So, yeah.
And can I just add on? I think if talking about the lack of experience, then everyone at a point entered manga without any experience in with being in manga itself. So I believe that the opportunity to learn is always there. How fast is going to be different, of course, depending to the person. But we are going to do our best as a team to be the best voice that we can be for manga.
Thank you, Leader Ansia. Let's also move on to the next question after that. So this one is from Reina again. To both parties, may I know if there's a way for students to submit feedbacks to bridge the student gap participation issue next year?
May I answer this first? Okay, so we are aware that currently, right now, there is a feedback platform that is available for the students, right? But what we found that is lacking is that not every student are aware of that this feedback platform exists. So therefore, make it more accessible towards the students by also reminding the students that they have a feedback platform to Instagram stories. And also, we plan to improve this feedback platform by also having the option of making it anonymous in case the students are not comfortable with us knowing their identity. And also, in addition, this is not only for the students of Monash as the audience to submit feedback. A separate feedback platform will also be available for the subcommittees as they might also have some issues that they feel like needs to be taken to our attention. So yeah, I hope that answers the questions.
Thank you, Leader Ansia. What about you, Ignivitus?
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, so ways that we could receive feedback from the student body is through Instagram affordances as one. Another would be our flagship event where we could also gain some recognition for manga, and also we could receive some feedback physically from them. And we could also use Instagram for distance in ways such as asking for feedback, or like we could also use the anonymous Q&A that is frequently used on Instagram right now. As per mentioned from Carol's side, that some students do want to remain anonymous lah.
Thank you, Ignivitus. Let's move on to the next question as well. Okay, so this is a follow-up question from Teresa. With Carol's response, all office bearers and subcommittees used to be a part of the target audience. So how can you ensure that you still have the insight into the target audience's mind? Yes, you mentioned that you will also have meetings, but it is only a small population that is not representative of the entire student body. Is there any other methods that you can implement as well?
Okay, so as the other party are rerunning officers, right? But however, they are currently being the office bearers since the pandemic, and we believe that once, because this semester is we are starting to be offline, we are like more familiar with how the offline what the offline audience was, because previously during the online during when everything was online, the students themselves, they have no choice, but they have to follow they have to keep up with the updates through social media, right? But however, when because right now it is we're doing classes offline, they have the options to just listen to words from mouth to mouth. So because of that we believe that we have the advantage in that sense, because while you guys are also the targeted audience previously, you guys are constantly in the environment where people talk about manga. So while we are not, so in that sense, we are able to distinguish what could be improved for the better, and also we have the feedback forms in case the students have thoughts that they might want to let us know, and also our Instagram DMs are always open for any criticism or any suggestions for us to improve for the better. So yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Thank you, Carol. Let's move on to the next question after that. Okay, so from Inan, she asks, for Ignivitus, how will you manage the budget when it comes to the flagship event that you talked about?
Yeah, sorry. All right. Thank you for the question, Inan. So how we will manage the budget when it comes to the flagship event will be through Manga's budget is actually necessary. We can cover the necessary things for printing and even promotional printing to promote our flagship event in the later semester, we hope. And booking of venue and stalls through faculty management will be our like biggest thing that we have to like do for the flagship event, as our budget can also cover like a lot of the necessary funds that we need for the flagship event, and not much will actually be spent on like the actual flagship event itself under Monga's budget, as it is a showcase of students' creative works from Monash. So yeah.
Thank you, Ignivitus. Let's also move on to the next question. Okay, from Chi Min Hao, also to Ignivitus. Knowing that there were issues whereby showcase of your creative products surround internal people, how would you respond to this issue moving into next year, provided elected, as this relates to low participation rate among students?
Sorry, Sean, could you repeat the question, as she did not actually catch it, I think.
Of course.
Right,
So,
thank you.
Min Hao asks, knowing that there were issues whereby showcase of your creative products surround internal people, how would you respond to this issue moving into next year, provided elected, as this relates to low participation rate among students?
Okay, thank you so much for the question, Minhao. Based on one of the experiences we had in semester one, one of the events that we initially covered did not have a particular location. As we all know that when we get assigned to cover an event, most of the events happen at a particular location. So, but for this, it did not have a particular location. So it is difficult for me and my subcoms to mainly remain at one spot to wait for students to come. Therefore, we did try to make content out of whatever we had due to low student participation. Hence, we do understand why the student felt like that, and maybe they felt left out from the pictures. However, we did take into their constructive feedback, and we planned out more student-centric project, as you can see, like Monash Fit Check, Chat with Monga, Read a Secret, Leave a Secret, all of this to basically spotlight the student body because we are for the students. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Shi. Let's move on to the next question. So, Ivan Liu. Hello, Ivan here on Monga 2020 Media. I do have two questions that comes to mind for both parties. Okay, firstly, from my understanding, Monga's equipment is quite aged despite from our initiative to buy new equipment in 2020. So how do you plan to tackle the aged equipment and upgrade to increase the quality of content created by Monga?
Hello, Ivan. Thank you for your question. So, I believe that this is something that the media team would have to come together and discuss as a team. We would have to go through all the equipment that we currently have as a team, and we definitely have to go through its wear and tear and see if it's okay for the use of the upcoming year. And in the case that it's some of the equipment are not good enough for a whole year of use again, then if it's necessary, then I think the team, the heads should have a discussion in terms of budget allocation, if but only if it's necessary. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Leader Ansia. What about your take, Ignavitus?
Okay, thank you so much, Sean, and thank you, Ivan, for the question. So basically, me being the head writer, head of media this year, I did notice because like for me, our term this year, we did transition from online to physical, and we did see that there are a lot of equipments that need to change and upgrade. However, for me as a head, I tried my best to secure funds from the other departments with their consent. So yes, we will be upgrading a lot of equipments this year, and I plan to do that next year as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chi, for the answer. Let's move on to the next question. So, Ivan's second question is that I do understand people in campus would love their events to be covered. How do you plan? How to plan to tackle this if there is a lack of manpower within the team?
Okay, thank you so much for the question, Ivan. Regarding the lack of manpower, yes, because Monga is really a big department, and we do have a lot of our own student-centered projects and all the events to cover as well. So me as a head, I believe that I do need to take care of the well-being of my subcom as well. So I do not want to obviously pressure them into forcing them to cover events and maybe like upload the pictures right after. Due to this, like we do have a system where we give them particular time so that they can edit the pictures, take some time to do their work. Hence, like of course, like the lack of manpower when it comes, we will maybe try to take in some contributors, but more than that, I think we will try our best to include students and of course like have a good balance between student-centric projects and event coverage. Thank you.
Thank you, Ignavitus. What about Leader Ansia?
So currently the system in place, as I've previously mentioned, there's no communication interdepartmentally. So that means like photographers, I don't even recognize the photographer in the event that I'm covering. So I believe that by knowing each other through our mingle nights and our general meetings, it would make attending these events more fun for the subcommittees, and it would make it more engaging and more likely that the subcoms will participate in coming to the events, because at the end of the day events are enjoyable. And also, as I brought up previously, there will be the event coverage form, the event coverage template that we wish to promote. And this template is to facilitate internal communications between Monga members and also external communication with, we can also like give it to the audience, the template, and that way Monga is exposed to all the other students around and also to the organizers of that event. If you guys would like to add on.
Okay, thank you, Natasha, for your feedback as well. So currently, as you all know, that we did transition from an online to a physical semester. So I feel like more than intercommunication, what matters the most is that there is a communication between like me as a head and my subcoms. Because of course, like we do need to bond with each other, like other departments. But at the end of the day, like say for instance, head of design, like the design team solely just designs. Writers, you guys just write. I mean, solely do the writing piece, right? So what I mean to say is that I think, of course, there is communication required, but when it comes to work, what matters the most is there's a communication, good communication between the team. Yeah. And also, is there anything you want to add? Okay. Oh, also to add on to that, we do have a lot of events where writers did meet photographers. I'm sure you did experience Monch as well, which was a way for you to get to know one of the photographers. So yeah, thank you.
I'm not sure if me knowing one photographer after spending 2 semesters as a subcom in Monash translate into good communication. Because, for example, my experience in Sunway Eco Media, we have a very close knit relationship with each other interdepartmentally. Like what you mentioned, she is like writers with writers, photographers and photographers, and this does create a segregation, which for our team we wouldn't like that segregation because we want to facilitate communication, which makes work more efficient and more fun. And for example, like Sunway Eco Media, up until now, I still keep in touch with all the videographers or all the designing team because we did have that bond. And I enjoyed my time there. And I wish to bring that community and collaboration into Monga. Thank you.
Okay, I have a small thing to add on to this. I think since we did transition, we were the first one to experience like post pandemic. So given that our term is still not over and you're still subcom and we are still the heads, we still have few months remaining. And yes, we do plan on to implement mingle night, the Monga whole mingle night where all the departments can come together. So yes, please do wait for that. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
I'm
you,
sorry.
Shi, and thank you, Lideransia. I think it's time to move on to our next question. So from Li Jiajing, Jiajing asks, for both parties, the amount of events can sometimes be overbearing. In the case of priorities, how will you categorize them? Will it be by participation rate, scale, or others?
May I answer this first?
Of
Okay.
course.
Thank you. So thank you for the question. So regarding priorities, of course we will. It is ideal for us to be able to cover each event in time, but let's say that there is a case of lack of manpower and like it's overbearing for us to handle. So we will actually try to cover it based on what the students like the most, like the participation rate of the students in that specific events. So let's say that there are okay, so let's say that Monash Cup is happening, but there is another event. So we will try our best to delegate the task, so in order for it to be published in time. But however, in case we cannot do that, we will still do both events, but we are going to prioritize something that the students are most interested the most, because more guys platform for students by students, right? So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Carol. What about Ignavitus?
All right. Thank you for the question, judging. So, to answer your question, how we do filter out like event coverages and we choose them is actually through our event coverage form, which Mongo already has set in place, which covers the scale, the relevancy, and the importance to the Monash community, as well as we try to also like include a diverse amount of projects from different like clubs as well as MUSA department. Sorry, yeah. So that's how we will actually like filter out, because we do understand like a large influx of event coverage forms are bound to happen, but we do have the right to reject them, and we do not want to overwork subcommittee in any single way.
Thank you, Ashley. Oh, sorry, that was Danelle. Thank you, Danelle. Okay, let's move on to our last question for the day. This is quite a big debate considering we have quite a few candidates here. So I think it makes sense that this is a little bit longer, but I'm glad that this is going well. So perhaps we can have our last question. Alethea, do you have one in mind that you would like to spotlight? Okay, so Rashwan asks, for Liderancia, according to your manifesto, you plan to enhance internal communication. Based on this year's experience, there have been a lot of incidents in the past when a subcom can lose or take equipment. Would your manifesto tackle this? And if so, what kind of system would you plan on implementing?
Thank you, Rashwan, for that question. So, our system, as we mentioned before, we will have meetings bi-monthly. So the first month will be a formal general meeting to keep up to date about for all subcoms to meet each other, see each other's faces, and create that bond. And the next meeting will be less formal, a more one-on-one. And we believe that by having this type of connection, it will reduce the likelihood for students to take advantage of Monga and its equipment. Because to be honest, you wouldn't want to ruin your friend's camera or steal their stuff or anything, right? And because you show up to the meeting, your face is recognizable, and it is easier for you to be held accountable for your actions. And during these meetings, we can also stress the importance about keeping our equipment safe, because that is like, it's really important. And also, we are all university students. We are all mature enough to understand that you shouldn't be doing these types of things. If anyone else would like to add on. Okay, so that will be all. Hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. With this, I think we can conclude our Q&A session from the audience. Now, we do have a little bit of a surprise extra questions from the office bearers, considering that we are having a higher number of candidates in this year's editorial position debate. So without further ado, I would like to pass it back to Christy, Jingwei, and Tai Ting for their questions.
Oh, okay, you go first.
Oh, sorry. You can go first. You can go first.
Okay, just a very simple questions to both parties. Like, what factors do you take into account, like, for the design aspect of things? Like, because not only does it have to be like, aesthetically pleasing, but it also has to like capture like what manga stands for. Like, can you elaborate more?
Okay.
All right, so we can go first. Yeah, so I think that one thing we can do in terms of looking at the design, I think the layout is really important. I think also keeping up with the current trends to just understand what people are interested in. Another thing that I believe is very important, because again, manga is for the students, by the students. I believe that getting the students' opinion on this is really important, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who are going to hold a copy of manga. So I believe that feedback from them and understanding what they like, what they find visually pleasing is good, and it will be important.
Oh, and sorry, I would also like to add on, like, the way we will conduct this feedback session will be very simple on our Instagram. I'm sure we've all seen the this or that template. Yeah, the poll. So they can click, we can show two designs each, like what color, this or that, and then the students have a say in helping our design. So we really are representing the students and their interests.
Yeah, and also I just have one more thing to add. I think when the students have this opportunity to choose what they are going to get at the end of the day, I think they would really like to have the physical copy also, because this is like almost a part of them in manga. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll answer. Thank you, Chaiting, for the question. So first of all, as we know that Monga has like two different teams for each semester, and we will discuss between us four, and probably like we'll create Pinterest boards, which will relate to the vision of Monga.
Okay, so to add on to Janet's statement, as Janet has previously mentioned, and this is what Monga is, and we will continue to do. We will have two separate teams for every semester, and accordingly to the team, we will plan to seek the creative direction by maybe using Pinterest boards. So maybe by adding all the contemporary trends that relates to Monga's theme that we are planning to implement. We'll move on with that by getting inspo. Yeah, thank you so much. Does that answer
Thank
your
you.
question, Chaiting?
Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
all right, thank you.
Chaiting, do you have any more questions?
You can go first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now I will like ask the questions like for the head of media candidates. So the first question will be directed towards Sandra. So given that media is the largest department in manga and this role has a very steep learning curve, do you believe that you can manage and tutor all the subcoms under your wing and with all the equipment that you have under manga's inventory?
Yeah, so thank you very much for that question. So yes, I think you mentioned it in the question itself that it is a learning curve. So I'm coming into this completely fresh with a fresh perspective. I haven't been a subcom before this, but I believe that doesn't mean that I can't learn. It stops there. I can learn. I am willing to learn, and I think that's really important. I believe I have the leadership skills that are needed for me to manage my subcom. In terms of photography and videography skills, I don't think that that's the only thing that's important when it comes to this job. On top of that, leadership is important, communication is important, my ability to collaborate with my subcom is important, and my collaboration with my heads are important. So I believe with all the skills that I have right now, I think that I can do a good job as the head of the media department. Thank you very much. I hope that answers your question, Jingwei.
Okay, just a follow-up question. So I don't know if you're aware. So like sometimes a lot of people, like a lot of students, like will ask us like for pictures like right after an event. So how do you make sure that you don't overwork your subcoms? Because like photographers will definitely need like a certain amount of time to edit and upload their pictures. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for that question. So I think this comes back again to our bi-monthly meetings where we're going to sit down and discuss. So in that, obviously, like you as it has been mentioned before, there are going to be last minute events. But for the events that have already been booked prior to that, I think we can discuss and set maybe a limit to when our photographers, videographers should stop working themselves. So after the cutoff, that's when they should go and do their own work that they need to do and complete. So yeah, I believe that setting a limit is important on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question is for Chi. So since you are a rerunning officer and you're already aware of the mounting workload as head of media, and sometimes you alone might not be able to handle all the administrative work within the department. How do you plan to address this issue?
Thank you so much for the question, Jingwei. Yes, based on my experience as Monga subcom and the head and experience in both Monga online and physical, I think like due to the shift and everything, how do I say, we are more aware. I think me as a head, I'm more aware of the workload that comes of definitely to adjust accordingly when it comes to balancing between like event coverage and student-centric projects, which appeal to the entire student body. However, like since I have the better understanding on how to delegate tasks, prioritize events, based on the scale of events and other such criteria, I feel like I can and I will show that I will manage the role as the head of media. However, in terms like this, I do also believe that I need to have a good communication and relation with my subcoms, because yeah, at the end of the day, it is a team effort, and I am there to basically guide them and tell them, give them a direction as to what should be done in the media department. Thank you. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
I have
thank you.
no more questions for media.
Thank you.
Chai Ting, Jingwei, do you guys have any more questions for our candidates? Okay. I don't have any questions. I just have something short to say after, witnessing you guys answering our questions. I mean, good job to both parties, of course. I mean, you guys put a lot of effort. It's clear. I can see that. Just one thing I want to say, and it's very important, yeah, because you are Monga. I want to reiterate that you are not exactly a part of MUSA. You are Monga, yeah. You are neutral party outside, so you get to say things as it is. And you need to remember, Monga serves the students. And you know what Monga does? We don't host events. We don't do self-help or things like that. We serve the students. And when I say that, that means we make content for the students to enjoy. To make it even more blunt, right? We are the ones that provide entertainment lah. Entertainment to the students, okay? We take the photos, we write the articles, we make them laugh, we make them happy. So we are not here to do self-help. We're not here to propose workshops or things like that. We're not here to do politics. We're just here because we enjoy what we do. I'm sure most of you are here because photography, designing, writing is your passion. So just remember that, and have a great, let's say again, office, have a great time ahead. That's all.
Thank you, office bearers, for your extra questioning. And thank you again for taking the time out of your day to come and help us with this debate. Now, it is finally time for us to bring our debate to a close after nearly 1 hour and 40 minutes. So I think I can just give it off to one of the candidates. Forgive me, I'm not sure who is supposed to go first, but whoever it is,
You can go first.
the floor is yours. You can take the closing statement.
Okay. Thank you everyone for your time as well as the questions that we've received from the audience. Before we end this debate, we'd like to re-emphasize our vision for Monga 2023. Firstly, the goal we are most excited for would be to hold Monga's first ever flagship event, where we would exhibit students' creative talents and also allow us to establish a physical presence among the student body as we transition to a more fully offline campus.
Secondly, we will continue coming up with spotlighting student-centric projects and collaborations on other forms of social media that will appeal to the student body.
Thirdly, we would like to reassure the student community that Monga will continue acting as a voice for the students, a voice fueled by transparency and journalistic integrity, as is our responsibility stated within the Constitution.
Last but not least, we fully commit to maintaining or ideally increasing the level of engagement that our current office bearers have accomplished on Monga's Instagram page. Thank you once again to the current office bearers, Jingwei and Chai Ting, and our proxy, Christy, who has made the time today to attend and question us during the debate. And we also like to wish the best of luck to our opponents moving forward.
Thank you guys for that wonderful closing statement. Now it's time to pass it on to Carol, Natasha, and Sandra for their closing statement. Lideransia, the floor is yours.
So we believe that both sides of today's debate have nothing but the best intention for Monga to move forward. Hence, either way, Monga will be in safe hands. As Monga is a community by students for students, we are grateful for the initiative that the previous and current office bearers have made. We have the aspiration to build onto the existing system and improve on how the community nurtures the students' creativity without excluding any party.
We would also like to acknowledge and thank the previous editors for keeping Monga afloat during the pandemic. If my team and I were to be elected, we hope to maintain the essence of Monga and what it represents, whilst also making the necessary improvements to make Monga more accessible to the entire student body. So throughout this debate, both sides have good ideas, and we would integrate relevant ideas into our term if we were elected. So it's not one or the other completely. We're a very open team to new ideas. So in the end, we just wish to serve the students to the best of our abilities. We want to harbor a creative space to effectively be the voice of Monash students, as well as provide tangible value to ensure that Monga leaves a meaningful impact to its students.
Lastly, Monga is meant to capture the memories that students have here during their time of study, something to remember their university experience by. Therefore, we aim to represent the students' life for a fraction of the time that they're here. We would now like to thank the ROs and the DROs. Thank you to the opposing team for the amazing session. Thank you to everyone for the wonderful questions. Thank you to the OBs for your wonderful questions. Thank you for listening to us as we presented our side of the debate. Now, we as the party of Literanza would like to urge all the students of Monash to please come out and vote, as choosing who is going to be your voice for the upcoming year is your right as a Monash University student. Feel free to contact us if you have any further questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
On behalf of the Election Commission, I would also like to extend my gratitude to everyone who's participating in the stream, especially the audience, and especially the candidates, and especially the office bearers, and also especially Alethea, my deputy RO. Anyway, this was the debate for the editorial position with the with our office bearers Jingwei Tai Ting and Christy Wong. Our candidates were Ashley Lim, Jeanette Angela, Shetin Bhutia, and Danielle Liap from Ignivitas, and Carol Marlena Wijaya, Sandra Sadris, and Natasha Shekpa from Literansa. Our next debate is for the welfare officer position with our OB Sean Stanley and our candidates Inan Muabiath and Jasper Chow from Ignivitas. So do tune in later. We also have a few platforms for election updates and basically, just information on the election, like Discord server, MUSA Instagram, MUSA website, and the election guide that was recently published. So do check them out for more information regarding anything at all. Thank you again for tuning in and joining us in this debate, and join us next time.